everyone, it's Sharana from Pay Your Weights, and today I'm going to be reviewing The Chi, Season 4, Episode 2, Cooley High. Look, we got to talk about Kevin, y'all, because I know that he is going through a lot. I know, Sharana, he just had this altercation with the police, with him and Jake, and also to the multitude of all of the things that he's had to deal with in the previous 3 seasons. But, y'all, Kevin be talking to his mama hella disrespectful. Like, he needs to get the taste slapped out of his mouth. I know that his mothers are trying to be patient with him because he has been through a lot. But I'm just like, the drinking, the smoking, and now you talking to me crazy? That just did something to my spirit to hear how he talks to his mother every single episode. So, and as his punishment of what they decided that they're going to do for him, basically drinking in last week's episode, is they said, hey, obviously, like, punishment, that doesn't seem to work with you, okay? Because we've had to punish you for a lot of things and you just keep messing up. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the TV, we're going to take the games, we're going to give you a flip phone. And I was just like, I feel like that's what normal punishment used to be for us. Even, like, I believe it or not, we did have cell phones. But I feel like that's what the normal punishment was. But obviously he didn't seem too phased about it. He has his college vision that his class is going on, and he doesn't seem very excited about college. And so his moms had a point when they were talking about how, like, you know, everything the kids were doing in college, that's what the kids in high school are doing now. They're exposed to more things. They're more, I guess they can get into more trouble as well with the internet and everything that they can find. And I was just like, yeah, like, the kids, is that kids be doing? I was just like, I would never do that in high school. And most of the kids, let's not even say they doing it in high school. Most of them doing it in grade school. Let's just keep it 100. But we see that Kevin's upset because Keisha's pregnant, so she ate all the cheese puffs. He's really upset about this. Talking about when can stuff go back to normal. And I was like, Kevin, you be so selfish, and I really be trying to have patience with you, but you be real selfish sometimes, especially when it comes to what Keisha is going through. But we see that his mama finally slapped the taste out of his mouth. I didn't feel like she slapped him hard enough because the way that he just kept cursing and just felt so comfortable doing it, I was just a little bit confused. But they end up going on this trip, and you know, Gemma's doing her little social media thing, and she's talking about, like, what she wants to do when she goes to college. She has her life on track. She knows exactly what she wants to do. And then when she asked Kevin, he was just like, what's your major? And he was like, I don't know. And she was like, hold up, pause. I can't put this on a gram. I need you to be my equal. I need you to be on the same level as me. And I was like, Gemma, where I understand what you were talking about, I think it's very fair that you need to also understand that you both grew up from 2 different walks of life. You know, everything was given to you. You were raised to be this Black excellence. You didn't have any external circumstances as far as how you were living, not having enough money, living in a dangerous neighborhood like Kevin did. So I feel like at a certain point, I was like, Gemma, I agree with you, but I need you to also understand that Kevin does not have the same lifestyle or the same upbringing that you had. And also, too, Gemma, what you know about being equally yoked, okay? Because some of these adults out here don't even be knowing what equally yoked means, but that just tickled my soul when she was talking about, I need to make sure that we're equally yoked. I was like, well, sis, you ahead of the game, okay? Because it took me to my 30s to try to make sure that I knew what being equally yoked was and how important it was to a relationship, but most important to a future with your forever person. But we see that when they're on the trip, you know, they're going back and forth. And while I say yes, Gemma can be very annoying at times because she's just always like talking. And he was like, I'm tired of hearing you talk. And I was like, ooh, I was feeling the same way. But you can't say that to your girlfriend, Kevin. You can't say that to her. So she was upset. They basically go their own separate ways during the college tour. But I do want to give Gemma, who was speaking some light, she was speaking gems here, okay? And the gem about how college is truly a scam. I know what y'all are thinking. Sharana, what? You're supposed to be about higher education. I am about higher education. I have a master's degree. But when she was talking about how college is a scam and how the people lie to you and tell you that when you go to college, you're going to make all this money when you graduate, what they don't tell you is, first of all, ain't nobody paying you what you're worth. first and foremost. And let's not talk about the disadvantages of being Black, and on top of that, being a Black woman as well when you go into the workforce. But also too about how when you're promised that you're going to make all this money, they don't tell you how you're going to be in so much debt that even if you are making enough money, you're not able to reap the full benefits of what it is to have that type of wage because you are paying off your student loans. And don't get me started on getting a higher degree, you know, a master's or a PhD. I wanted to come through their screen and tell Gemma, baby, I don't know who needs to hear this. You obviously do. It really doesn't matter having your master's or having your PhD. As someone with experience who has worked for a Fortune 5 company where my VP literally told me that she does not care about an MBA, does not care, does not have an MBA, doesn't care about an MBA unless she has 2 candidates that she likes, then she'll just go with the person with the MBA. I was shook. I was like, well, Bisha, why you didn't tell me this before I spent all this money going to get my master's degree? I just don't understand. So I just wanted to tell her that, Gemma, it don't matter unless you're like in the medical field, unless you're teaching, unless you're somewhere where you getting a PhD or you getting a master's gets you an automatic bump in your pay, it don't matter. Okay, I'm sorry. I just really need to tell y'all that. I don't know who needed to hear that, but the Lord put it on my heart to tell you, if you're thinking about going to get your master's, make sure that your job cares. Make sure they care, because a lot of these people, they say they care, they don't really care. And now everybody has an MBA at this point. It's basically like getting a college degree. So, we see that him and Jake, he finds Jake after Jake's getting topped off by Dakota. That's a whole nother story when we get to Jake. Jake gives him some money. He sees these college kids playing video games. And so he was like, here's some money, go whoop them, take their money, double it for me. I was like, look at Jake being a good friend. Okay, like, Jake, can I get some money? Because, like, I got some bills that need to be paid. But we see that he's hanging out with the kids. And essentially, he was like, hey, do you do coke? Do you do shrooms? Do you do Molly? I said, sir, oh my God, like, you're doing all these drugs right now? Like, what is happening? And I was like, Kevin, please don't take drugs from these white people. Just don't do it. I don't feel like anything good is going to come out of this. Just don't be doing drugs that you don't understand what they do. And here this fool go. He take the pill. He drinking it with beer. Now he all high and drunk. And I was just like, Kevin, I just wanted to shake Kevin this entire episode. But what really made me mad is when Kevin done behind goes to meet up with the rest of the class. And then Gemma's like, Kevin, what's wrong with you, Kevin? Are you drunk? I said, Gemma, like, do you need to scream it for the whole world to hear? Why don't you just go get your man, take him to his room so he doesn't get in trouble? Like, I understand. Kevin made that choice and he should bear the consequences, but why are you screaming in front of his teacher? All these white people talking about Kevin. Are you drunk? I was just like, Gemma, it wasn't the time, but it is what it is. But we see that he ends up throwing up. And Keisha has to come and get him. And I like the frustration that Keisha has with him. Because she was like, hey, like, you were living the life that I was supposed to have. I was supposed to go to college. I had this scholarship. And now I can't go. And you have this perfect opportunity with no circumstances standing in your way outside of just getting good grades, getting a scholarship, and getting your education. And you're just fumbling the ball. Like, what is going on with you? And I was like, Keisha, thank you. Now, if she wasn't pregnant, I would have been like, you needed to shake him when you were telling him that so he could receive it. She should have told their moms about it, because I feel like at this point, he needs more help. Like, he needs to go back to therapy. He needs to do something to really help him release all of these emotions that he's bottling up, because this is obviously going to lead to a downward spiral. But can I get a side conspiracy theory? So what if it was Kevin who shot Duda, aka Otis Perry, aka get your life together because you're making poor decisions? What if it was him that shot him? Like, maybe he felt like if none of this would have happened with Jake, like, I would still be with Gemma, because you see in the previews for next week where Gemma's like helping Jake with some type of interview. I don't know if it's going to be about what happened to him. I'm just saying that's just like a theory. I know after this week's episode, like Sharana, the list got longer and longer after Otis's decision to defund the police. But just hear me out on that. What if it was Kevin? I'm just saying, because obviously he's headed towards a downward spiral and he has to hit rock bottom at some point in time. So that's just my little thoughts. It is what it is. But yeah, let me go to Jake now. So Jake, Amani and Trig, they give him condoms, for his trip. Hey, we're not condoning sex, but we do want you to be safe if, something pops off. Obviously, they were prophesizing to Dakota Raggedy behind sitting up here talking about, all Black lives matter to me. I'm like, I know that black pink matter to you, but that's a different story for a different day. So he ends up talking to Trig, and Trig is just like, hey, are you okay? You know, just doing a check-in with him after everything that happened with the police. And he was just like, you know, like, you don't have to be strong all the time. Like, it's okay. Like, you don't have to be the strong person. And when Jake says, yeah, I do, I felt that. I felt that so much. And I know society always tells us like, hey, like, you don't always have to be the strong person. But at the end of the day, we do, because like, we're constantly being killed. We're constantly having microaggressions against us. There's just so much that you have to deal with. And you do have to be strong, because you would literally go crazy if you express your emotions every time some craziness happened to you in the world. So I really felt that. But I did love when Jake ended up telling Trig that he loved him. I was like, oh my goodness, look at this brotherly love. I'm so here for it. But not Jake. Now, why you tell Kevin that your arm was going to heal in 2 days, and then with Dakota Raggedy behind, thirsty behind, shows up, he like, oh, the doctor said it's going to be a couple of months. She's like, you're such a hero. I wish there was a way I can show my appreciation. I was like, sis, like, really? Like, you that thirsty for some? I was just confused. But obviously, when they get to the college and they in the bathroom, they just go ahead and do what it do. So I was like, you know what, Dakota, if you said you wanted some, as long as you was being safe, do you, boo, do you. So with Trig though, so Trig's still not okay at the end of last week's episode, where he basically ends up beating the police officer who beat Jacob. And so Amani's trying to talk to him, and he's just like, you know, she was like, you did what needed to be done, but he was like, this is just a temporary fix. Like, it doesn't change the mentality of the police department. It doesn't stop us from being, you know, roughed up on the streets. Like, this just fixed this isolated issue. And so I do love the debate with the sugar and the grits. Now, I'm not a huge grits fan. Okay. I can only do shrimp and grits, but I'm okay with having sugar. I know that's a huge thing, like sugar, salt, but I like both. I feel like we could like both, but I especially like shrimp and grits with a nice little sauce on it. So I was just like, hey, let's just be a grits equal opportunity lover. Okay. That's all I'm saying. Why do we always have to be divided by food? Let's just all get on the same page. But we see that he ends up picking up his friend Shad, who is played by Jason Weaver. I was like, I totally forgot Jason Weaver is going to be on the season. And so when my man was about to hop in the G-Wagon, I said, sir, did you pay this bill? What is happening? I mean, Trig was like, hey, I don't want you getting pulled over for not having a driver's license. But I was like, even before we get to that, before we get to the law, why did you feel so comfortable just hopping up in my whip that you don't pay for it? I was highly confused. But Shad is just very disrespectful in general, because the whole interaction between him and Amani, I felt Amani why she was upset, because at the end of the day, first, you didn't tell me that he was staying with us, okay? Second, why does he feel so comfortable flirting with me, being very inappropriate with me in front of you of all people? So I feel like they're going to have some problems. I think Shad is going to try it again with Amani. It's going to be some problems. I don't know what's going to happen, but I know it's not going to look too good. And especially I'm talking about, hey, can we get some more Hennessy? Can we get this and that? Dang, bruh, didn't I give you some money when you got out? Use that money to go get your Hennessy. I was just really confused at how comfortable we felt. But I guess it is what it is. So we see that when he goes to get the Hennessy, the cops are actually roughing up. And I forgot the gentleman's name, but he was actually helping in the season 4 premiere, helping clean up at Amani's shop. And so, you know, Trig takes up like, hey, this is my cousin. I know him. Leave him alone. And so he gets his phone out, because obviously that's the only thing you can really do to try to stop the officers from harassing people. And so they pull their guns out on him, and he's like, everybody get your phones out. And so they're just like, look, we ain't got time for this. Like, go ahead and do your thing. But I was happy that Trig was there to diffuse the situation and stop him from being arrested. But we got to talk about Emmett, okay? Because Emmett's been going through it. So Emmett has been filled with guilt because he slept with Dom. He hasn't told Tiff about it. And so the episode opens up with him having this dream. He ends up telling Tiff what happened. She got a knife. She chasing him. She has to wake him up out of his sleep. Like, what is going on with you? Like, what is the problem? And then she's like, I told you to stop eating them Flaming Hot Cheetos. I was like, Flaming Hot Cheetos cause bad dreams? Did I miss something? I was confused. I was like, I've been eating Flaming Hot Cheetos since I was a kid, but I guess it caused bad dreams now. But we see that there's trouble in paradise, okay? So I forgot about Corey Hardwick's character being on here, and I was like, were we ever going to do anything with him when he was introduced last season? And so we see that there's still sexual tension between the both of them. He, like, when she goes to deliver some product, he was like, how's married life? Like, you happy? And she's like, it's cool. And I was like, sis, you don't say that to somebody that you know trying to sleep with you. That just lets them know that they still have an opportunity to come in and get some good. And so as soon as we see that he's with his dad and he's having a conversation with his dad's like, you need to tell her. Like, obviously this is bothering you, so tell her. And so when he's trying to lay it down on her, and basically he's hearing his dad in his head, and he starts talking to him, and she was like, what is going on with you? And so he ends up telling her what happened after she's like, hey, no, something's wrong. You've been acting weird since we've been married, so what is the problem? And so he tells her what happened to Dom. And as soon as she got her stuff on and left, I said, I know she finna go get some from old dude. And what did she do? She went straight in, had him lay it down. I do want to give him kudos for having the silk sheets. I just feel like that is a special touch right there. That is a man right there, okay? Not only do you want me to get it on in some nice silky sheets, but to also make sure that my hair is on silk, that you care enough for my crown, okay? That's really respecting a woman as a queen, that you care about my crown to have the silky sheets. I know y'all probably like, sure, the sheets weren't silky, but if you look, the silk part, they had the silk laying on top of them, and then the other side was just the regular sheets. I was just like, what a man. I am here for it. But Emmett was looking real shook at the end of the episode when he saw that it was morning time and she never came back home. I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe she'll just be like, hey, tit for tat. We can keep it moving. I want to see what the altercation is going to be between Tiff and Dom, because it's like, Dom, like, you've been hella nice and you haven't said anything. Like, woman to woman, you could have said something, but maybe, hey, it's not her place. Her man should have told her what happened. But I just need to see that interaction happen, because I know it's going to be some ish, if you know what I mean. But I do want to talk about Emmett's mom, and I'm really upset about this, y'all, because she's having a high school reunion, and, you know, she got her young little boo thing, little Mr. Happy Endings, and she doesn't want him to come to the reunion. And he gets upset about it because he's just like, are you embarrassed by me? Like, what is the problem? Are you ashamed of me? Because I'm not ashamed of you. And so he ends up going with her to the reunion. He did not have to say, this is my mama jam, y'all, when they walked in. I said, sir, if you already knew that she had issues with the age difference and what you used to do, why would you say that? I just don't understand why he would say that. And then come to find out you didn't gave a happy ending to her high school friend of me. I was just really confused. Like, sir, get it together. But I was literally when they were in bed later that night, and he's rubbing her boob, and he was like, hey, what is this lump? And she was like, hey, I've had it checked out every year. You know, it always comes back. There's nothing wrong, but if you want me to, I'll go get it checked out again. And I was like, I know y'all not finna give her cancer. I know you're not finna give her breast cancer. And then what happens? Y'all done gave Jada breast cancer right when she was finally being happy. She had someone that wanted to make, you know, her his forever, the person he's gonna grow old with. And this is what you do. You can't ever give my woman just a little ounce of joy that would last an entire season. I'm just highly confused. I'm highly upset about this. I'm so mad. I'm so mad. But let's talk about Keisha. So Keisha has a job, and baby, that boss will get on my nerves. I would have quit after the first day. She is just not trying to really be attentive to Keisha or understand the circumstances. Keisha ain't doing good at her job either. But hey, at least she's working. She's pregnant. She's trying to move forward with her life. But she's stressed about her pregnancy. She's stressed about trying to find a suitable family that she can give her baby to. But it really hurts that when she goes to have the doctor's appointment, the checkup, and they're like, hey, the baby's healthy, everything's going great. And when she says, do you want to know the sex? And then she kind of says no, she looks away, and you can see the tear falling from her eye. I don't know. I still kind of feel like she's going to end up keeping the baby. That's just me. I think it's going to be really hard for her, even though she's trying to detach herself from the baby, not wanting to know the sex, not trying to get too attached. I think that Keisha's going to end up having a baby. And you heard her mamas when they said, hey, like, if she can't figure it out, you know, we're going to have another mouth to feed. And I'm happy that they're supportive of that. But can we also say that her and Emmett still has a lot of chemistry? I know he's supposed to be with Tiff and we're supposed to be shipping them, but the chemistry that Emmett and Keisha has, I'm just saying, they still got it. They still got it. But let's talk about Papa. I don't know why I feel like, even though, because Jake and Kevin go to the same school, the whole Papa storyline, it feels like they're just trying to find something to keep Papa on there. And hey, I get it. We love Papa. I love him. You know, he telling Maisha like, hey, I want Emmett to do good. I don't want to be his downfall by asking him to pay me off the books. And then he's starting a podcast called Papa's Pulpit. But when they threw that shade at Van Jones, like, Van Jones is not bringing his behind to come be on your podcast, I was just like, I mean, y'all ain't told no lies, but I was just like, ooh, the shade. But when he told Maisha after she laughed at him for saying that Van Jones was going to come and saying that, like, you're supposed to be my Coretta, I was like, but Maisha should be able to be honest with you. Now, she does later apologize for not being supportive or not having faith that Van Jones will come, but I still love them together. I just want them to give a little bit more with Papa. Updates on what's going on with his dad, the relationship with that, how that's affected him. I just feel like there's a little bit more that they could actually be doing with both him and Maisha. But Drake, when you gonna sign Maisha? Because at first I was like, okay, Maisha, go ahead and let them know what it is. But I just want to see a little bit more because they are two of my favorite characters on the show. But we got to talk about Duda. Duda, aka Otis, whatever, fine. We got to talk about him. So he's trying to get the DA to hurry up with the investigation into Officer Reeves and the altercation that took place with Jake. And so, you know, his wife and Gemma's dad, they're like just upset because they're like, why aren't you listening to us? He was like, hey, I might have helped me. Actually, no, he was like, I got here by myself. I was like, I mean, that's not really what happened, but okay, you upset, so I'm gonna let it go. So he basically says he's the N-word in charge, and he dismissed Gemma's dad and his wife, and he goes to talk to Officer Reeves. And they have a very interesting conversation because they give him his file, and he's like, hey, you have a pattern of roughing up young black boys who are minding their business. And when Officer Reeves is just like, I'm a war vet. I fought for my country. My family worries every single day if their dad or husband gonna come home. And he was like, yeah, I know the feeling. I was just like, sorry, did you really think that was gonna move us? Did you think that was gonna make me feel sorry for you and the fact that you're racist? I'm just really confused by that. I was just highly confused. But when he leaves out of the hospital and the reporters and everyone is outside, he holds a press conference and he basically says that Officer Reeves will no longer be with the CPD. And I would not have racist cops a part of the force. Now, they were not happy with the statement that he made because they're just like, sorry, you just got here. You're doing a little bit too much. But he was just like, what is the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. But he takes this a step further. After we see that they're watching the blowback on the news on what's happening with him, and you know, he has to remind Gemma's dad, like, I don't work for you, you work for me, okay? And then when his wife basically says like, don't let your gut get you killed, and he's like, is that a threat? And then she was like, look, he was like, I don't need protection wherever I go. And I was like, well, sir, if you watch the opening to the season premiere, like, obviously you need protection because you got shot, but that's a whole different story for a whole nother day. But we see that he ends up holding another press conference and he just says, hey, I'm going to defund the police. And while I was like, oh, cool. And then I was like, what's the plan? Because when they were asking him questions, he was like, I'm not prepared to answer that. And I was like, but you were prepared to say you were going to defund the police, but not have a plan set in place as to what you were going to do instead of funding the police. I was just a little confused. I'm just saying, I know everybody's like, defund the police, but like, what is your plan if you actually do that? So now you see the cops mugging them because of all this blowback. They're like roughing people up in the neighborhoods even more. So I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, the list is growing longer and longer for Duda as to who actually shot him. I got my money on Kevin for right now, though. I feel like it's not going to be the obvious part of. They want us to think it's going to be one of the cops, maybe Officer Reeves, or it's going to be Trig or Jake. But I feel like it's Kevin. It's just something in my spirit is telling me, Kevin, I'm probably wrong and it's okay. But that's just a conspiracy theory that I'm going with for right now. But what I will say is I'm happy with where the season is going so far. It's only been 2 episodes, so it's a little bit too early to tell. But I do want to see more with Maisha and Papa. And I do want them to do a little bit more with Keisha, especially since we spent so much time with Keisha's character in the last season. I feel like we need to be on her journey a little bit more. And just because Burgundy is such a fantastic actress who portrays Keisha, I just want a little bit more from her character as well. But overall, y'all still got me. I'm happy with where we're going. This is a good fresh start for the first season of, for the season 4 of The Chi. But those are my thoughts on the episode, The Chi season 4, episode 2, Coolly High. As always, my name is Sharana from Pay Your Weights, and if you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and make sure you hit that notification bell. And I love you guys 3000. And until I see you again, bye.